She still thinks about you, but she'll never reach out. She watches, silently, scrolling through your profile, pausing on old photos, hovering over the message box, fingers typing, then deleting, again, and again, and again. But will she ever send that text? No, and here's why. A battle rages in her mind, desire against ego, emotions against control. She remembers the way you made her feel, the way you looked at her, and for a fleeting moment, she considers breaking the silence. But then, hesitation. A whisper in her mind. What if he's moved on? And just like that, the war is lost. Because reaching out isn't just sending a message, it's surrender. It's admitting that she still cares, that she's still affected. And the thought of that, unbearable. So she convinces herself to wait, to watch from the shadows, to hope you will be the one to break first. Because the second you do, she wins. She reclaims control. She knows she still owns a piece of your mind. But when you don't, when you show no reaction, no weakness, no need, that's when the shift happens. Doubt creeps in. Did I misjudge him? Has he really moved on? Was he ever really mine? And for the first time, she feels something she never expected: regret. Because attraction isn't built through words, not through begging, not through chasing. It's built through control. Control over your emotions, your actions, your presence. And when you master that, you become untouchable. So ask yourself, are you still chasing ghosts? Or are you ready to take back control? If you are, type it below. I control my emotions, not her. Now let's begin. Let's uncover the truth behind her silence. You think she doesn't care, that she's moved on without hesitation while you're left drowning in memories. But let me tell you something. Her silence isn't forgetfulness. It's a tactic. She's not reaching out, not because she's lost interest, but because she doesn't have to. She's betting on you breaking first. She knows the game. She knows that most men can't handle uncertainty, can't handle the void left by a broken connection. And that's exactly why she stays silent. Because in the game of emotions, power belongs to the one who feels less. The first to give in, the first to reach out, loses. So she waits. She watches, letting time chip away at your resolve, trusting that eventually you'll crack, that the loneliness, the longing, the urge to hear her voice will become unbearable. And the moment you send that message, the moment you ask how she's been, she wins. Because now she knows the truth. You never let go. You're still caught in her gravity. She never needed to chase, because deep down, you were always going to come back. But what happens when you don't? When you don't text? When you don't check her social media? When you give her nothing? No reaction, no signal, no weakness. At first, she tells herself you're just being stubborn. But as days turn into weeks, confidence starts to crumble. Why hasn't he reached out? Did he replace me? Did he realize his worth? Did I actually lose him? And that's when the shift happens. Because silence isn't just the absence of words. It's pressure. It forces her to face a reality she never expected. A reality where she's the one questioning, she's the one doubting, she's the one feeling powerless. But this only works if you commit, if you refuse to break, if you let her sit in the silence alone. Because real strength, it isn't loud, it isn't desperate, it isn't impulsive. Real strength is quiet, controlled, unshaken. And when you master that, she will feel it. If you're done being a pawn in someone else's game, if you're ready to take back your power, drop a comment below. My silence is my power. The next question is, why chasing only pushes her further away? You think if you just explain yourself, if you just remind her of what you had, she'll suddenly wake up, realize her mistake, and come back. Wrong. That's not how this works. The harder you chase, the faster she runs. The more you beg, the less she values you. Because desperation, it repels. It screams insecurity. It tells her one thing loud and clear. You don't see yourself as the prize. You see her as the prize. And the second she realizes that, something shifts. Respect fades. Attraction dies. Because people don't chase what's always available. We crave what feels just out of reach. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you are teaching her how to treat you. Every double text, every late-night message, every attempt to remind her of the good times, it all tells her the same thing. You are not a priority. You are an option. You might think you're being persistent, that you're fighting for love. But what you're really doing is killing the spark. You're giving her certainty, and certainty is the enemy of desire. Think about it. What happens when you watch a movie where you already know the ending? It's boring, predictable, forgettable. The same principle applies here. But when you stop chasing, when you pull back completely, her mind turns against her. Where is he? Why isn't he reaching out? Did I misjudge him? Did I make a mistake? Your absence creates space, and space creates uncertainty. Suddenly, she doesn't have that emotional safety net. Suddenly, she's the one wondering. She's the one feeling the discomfort of not knowing. And that discomfort, that's what makes people act. Because here's the harsh truth. No one forgets someone truly valuable. If she really saw your worth, she wouldn't have let you go in the first place. But if she didn't, that means your value wasn't high enough in her eyes. So what do? You increase your value. You rebuild yourself into a man she would regret losing. And that only happens when you let go. When you stop chasing. When you refuse to force a connection that's already broken. Because real men, they don't beg, they don't plead, they don't chase. They step back, they focus on themselves. And in doing so, they shift the power entirely. So ask yourself, are you done running in circles? Are you ready to become the one they chase? If you are, prove it. Comment below. I do not chase. I attract. The next point is emotional mastery. Why she's drawn to a man in control. Ever notice how the men who care the least seem to get the most attention? The ones who don't chase, who don't overreact, who don't let emotions dictate their actions. They move differently, and because of that, they hold power. This isn't luck. It's not some secret formula. It's control. Because the man who controls his emotions controls the situation. He doesn't act out of fear. He doesn't beg out of desperation. He doesn't spiral out of loneliness. And because of that, he becomes untouchable. Because no woman respects a man who's emotionally unstable. No woman values a man who lets his feelings own him. You think she left because she stopped loving you? Wrong. She left because she stopped feeling drawn to you. She saw your emotional reactions, your constant need for reassurance, your fear of losing her. And that fear? It suffocated her. She didn't want to be your emotional lifeline. She wanted to be pulled toward your strength, toward your presence, toward the quiet confidence of a man who doesn't break under pressure. Because attraction isn't random. It's biological. Women are wired to seek stability. A man who can take a hit, stand tall, and keep moving. Not a man who pleads, begs, or falls apart when things don't go his way. So if you're sitting there, overthinking, replaying conversations, obsessing over what went wrong, stop. Every second spent drowning in emotion is another second you lose control. And the more control you lose, the less attractive you become. You must become the calm in the storm. A man who isn't shaken by silence. A man who doesn't need to force anything. A man who understands he is the prize. And when you become that man, she will feel it. And she'll realize something that terrifies her. You don't need her. And that makes you powerful. So ask yourself, are you done letting emotions weaken you? Are you ready to take back control? If you are, prove it. Comment below. I master my emotions. They do not master me. Let's uncover rebuilding your value, the art of self-improvement. You want to make her regret leaving? You want to shift the power completely? Then stop thinking about her, stop waiting, stop overanalyzing, stop hoping, and start rebuilding yourself. Because here's the truth, she's not listening to your words, she's watching your actions. She's watching to see if you crumble without her, or if you rise without her. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you stand at a crossroads. One path, obsession, overthinking, checking her social media, hoping she comes back. The other, transformation, becoming the kind of man who doesn't care if she reaches out, because he's too busy winning. Let me tell you something about regret. Regret doesn't come from seeing you suffer. Regret comes from seeing you thrive. When she sees your physique sharpening, your confidence soaring, your lifestyle expanding, that's when regret hits her. Not because you're trying to impress her, but because she realizes something devastating. She no longer has access to the man you've become. And this is where most men fail. They chase revenge. They try to prove a point. But real men, they don't evolve for her. They evolve for themselves. Because the goal isn't to get her back. The goal is to become the man she could never replace. So ask yourself, what are you doing right now? Are you stuck in the past, replaying old memories? Or are you in the gym, building your body? Are you scrolling through her social media, hoping for a sign? Or are you working on your finances, securing your future? Are you waiting for validation? Or are you creating a life so powerful, so fulfilling, that her absence is nothing but a distant memory? Because here's the reality. The best revenge isn't words, it's success. And when she sees that, she'll understand, too late, that the man she left behind no longer exists. So ask yourself, are you ready to evolve? Are you done living in the past? If you are, prove it. Comment below. I do not look back. I level up. The next point is the psychological trigger. How to make her regret losing you. You think she regrets leaving? Not yet, because right now, she still thinks she owns space in your mind. She assumes you're still watching, still waiting, still hoping she'll come back. And as long as she believes that, she feels nothing. No urgency, no fear, no regret, because she still thinks you're an option. But the second that changes, the second she realizes you've erased her from your world, that's when the regret hits. Because now it's no longer her rejecting you, it's you rejecting her. And that's a psychological trigger she can't ignore. See, people don't regret losing someone who still wants them. They regret losing someone who moved on without them. She expected you to break, to wait, to chase. She never expected you to vanish. But when you do, her mind turns against her. Why isn't he reaching out? Did he replace me? Was he actually better than I thought? And here's where psychology flips the game. The human brain hates uncertainty. It needs closure. It needs answers. It needs control. But now, she has none. And that's when she starts checking up on you, watching your stories, asking about you, finding excuses to accidentally cross paths. But by then, you won't care, because you won't need her validation. You won't need her approval. You'll be too busy becoming the man she never thought you could be. So forget revenge. Forget making her jealous. Forget proving a point. Just disappear. Elevate. Become the one who got away. Because the only way to make her truly regret losing you is to become someone she will never have access to again. So ask yourself, are you done being her safety net? Are you ready to become untouchable? If you are, prove it. Comment below. I am the one who got away. And now the final test. If you still care, you haven't let go. You think you've moved on? Then why are you still checking her profile? Why are you still wondering if she'll come back? Why are you still holding on to the smallest chance that maybe, just maybe, she regrets losing you? That's the test. And you just failed. Because real detachment, it's not silence. It's not ignoring her texts. It's not pretending to be too busy. It's not caring at all. It's waking up and not even thinking about her. It's not needing closure. It's not looking for signs. It's not replaying old conversations in your head. It's realizing she's nothing more than a lesson. No anger, no sadness, no nostalgia, just nothing. And that's where most men lose. They lift weights, they grind, they focus on themselves. But deep down, they're still waiting, still hoping that somehow, someday, she'll wake up and say, "I was wrong." But hope is a chain. And as long as you're hoping, you're still trapped, still a prisoner to the past. And she knows it. She feels it. That's why she's not chasing, because she still thinks she owns a piece of you. But what happens when she realizes she doesn't? When you stop checking, when you stop reacting, when you erase her completely? That's when regret hits. Not when you try to make her jealous, not when you post pictures showing her what she lost, but when she sees the truth. You don't care anymore. Not pretending, not faking it. Actually, don't care. And that's what destroys her. Because now she's the one thinking, did I make a mistake? Did I misjudge him? Was he actually better than I thought? But by then, you won't even hear her thoughts, because you'll be too far ahead. So ask yourself, are you really moving on? Or are you just waiting for her to notice? Because if you're still checking, still wondering, still hoping, you're still trapped. And the only way to break free? Let go. Completely. So if you're done living in the past, if you're done waiting for a ghost, prove it. Comment below. I release what no longer serves me. Let's talk about one question. Why she's watching you but can't reach out. She's still there, lurking, watching, waiting. She checks your profile, scrolls through your old messages, wonders if you're still thinking about her. But no matter how much she wants to, she won't reach out. And here's why. Because the second she does, she risks exposing the truth. She no longer has control over you. Right now, she's playing a game, a silent, calculated game. She wants to know, are you still waiting? Still hoping? Still emotionally tied to her? Because as long as she doesn't reach out, she can avoid the truth. She can keep pretending you're still there, that you haven't changed, that she still owns a piece of you. But deep down, she feels it. She senses the shift, not because of your words, because of your silence, because you stopped orbiting around her, because you're no longer the man who put her on a pedestal, because suddenly, she has no access to you. And that terrifies her. That's why she's watching. Not because she wants to come back, but because she wants to know, is he still within reach? And when she realizes the answer is no, that's when the panic sets in. Because suddenly you're not an option anymore. Suddenly you're not chasing. Suddenly you're gone. And her silence? It's not indifference. It's fear. Fear of seeing you thrive without her. Fear of realizing she lost something valuable. Fear of admitting she misjudged you. So, no, she won't reach out. Her ego won't let her. And if she ever does, it won't be for love. It'll be a test to see if she still has control. A test to see if she can still pull you back, but by then, you won't even care, because you'll be too far ahead, and she'll be nothing but a spectator. So ask yourself, are you still waiting? Still checking? Still hoping? Or are you ready to let her watch from a distance and forever? If you are, prove it. Comment below. Her silence is not my problem. And the final thought. The ultimate Stoic mindset. She was never the prize. You were. Let's stop pretending. You spent all this time chasing her, thinking if you just proved your worth, she'd see your value. You thought she was the prize. That's why she had so much control. That's why her absence felt like a hole in your life. That's why you waited, hoped, suffered. But let me ask you something. Why? Why did you place her on a pedestal? Why did her opinion dictate how you saw yourself? Why did you allow her to decide your worth because you gave away your power? That ends today. The Stoics understood something most men never will. A man's worth is never in the hands of another. Not hers, not society's, not anyone's. The moment you grasp that, you become unstoppable. Because when you know, truly know, that you are the prize, you stop chasing. You stop waiting. You stop looking for permission to feel like a king. You don't ask for respect. You don't beg for love. You don't depend on someone else's presence to feel whole. You just are. And the irony? That's when people start chasing you. Because nothing is more desirable, magnetic, and untouchable than a man who doesn't need anyone's validation. You were never meant to be the one knocking on closed doors, waiting for someone to acknowledge your worth. You were meant to be the one they could never replace. The moment you see that, the moment you feel it in your bones, you become untouchable. So ask yourself, who are you becoming? A man who waits, or a man who walks forward, never looking back? A man who begs for attention, or a man so focused on his own mission that no one's absence can shake him? Because at the end of the day, it was never about her. It was about you, your discipline, your mindset, your ability to control your emotions when life tests you. That's what defines you, not a woman, not a breakup, not whether she regrets leaving. Because the truth is, you don't need closure. You don't need validation. You don't need to know if she still thinks about you. None of it matters. What matters is that you've built yourself into a man who doesn't need those answers. A man who is too focused on his future to entertain his past. So what's your next move? Will you sit around waiting for ghosts? Or will you rise, evolve, and step into your power? If you're ready to leave the past behind and own your future, prove it. Comment below. I choose strength over attachment. This is the true Stoic community. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and most importantly, stay in control.